Star Wars is back on the big screen with The Mandalorian and Grogu.
Gangsters, war criminals. I'll take out every bad guy in your deck of cards.
On May 22nd, feel the Force on the biggest screen possible.
The old protect the young, and the young protect the old. This is the way.
Buckle up.
Always wear your seatbelt.
The Mandalorian and Grogu. Rated PG-13. May be inappropriate for children under 13. In theaters May 22nd. Get tickets now.
Where is Daredevil?
I'm right here. Don't miss the return of Marvel Television's Daredevil Born Again.
So what's next?
I feel liberated.
I'm gonna take this city back.
Over medicated.
In an all-new season, now streaming only on Disney+.
They're hunting us. It's time we started hunting them.
I can work with that.
This should be tons of fun.
Marvel Television's Daredevil Born Again, now streaming only on Disney+.
Hello everyone and welcome to How Are the Podcast. It's Gav and today we've got a rather special episode to bring you of the pod. Our listeners may or may not have noticed something rather brilliant which popped up over the last couple of weeks online that gained, I'd say, pretty significant attention. The Wall of Fame Stadium of Light commemorative bricks website, which has enabled supporters far and wide to see their own bricks or bricks of family members who have since passed on for the first time in years, often because people simply lost track of where they were. And today we're delighted to be joined by the man behind this project. It's a massive Sunderland fan, David Bambrough. Hello, mate.
Hello, mate. Nice to be here.
Yeah, David, it's a pleasure to have you on. And I've got to be honest, what you've done, and we're going to get into the hows and whys and you know the work that went in behind it. I love out like this. I love things that just appear online that just change people's lives, and it's such a niche change to people's lives of what you've done, but it has had quite an impact, hasn't it? I mean, you must have been blown away by the feedback you've had since you put this out there.
I have. To be honest, I underestimated the response. I just thought this was going to be a useful tool for a few people. I thought it would be good for people who lived abroad, couldn't find the bricks of the loved ones anymore. So, yeah, I just didn't realise it would have such an impact. And when I released it it was actually the Saturday evening before the Spurs game, and I put it on ready to go on the forum there, and got a few bites. And in the morning, I woke up and it gained a bit of traction, and then shared it on Twitter, well, X, the Roker Report X account, and they shared it, and it just went absolutely ballistic from there. And things just never stopped. And it was actually, so my sister-in-law texted us in the afternoon and said, "They've been talking about this website on BBC Radio Newcastle. Nick Barnes has been talking about it." I was like, "Really?" And it just, and the amount of messages I've had on Facebook, ready to go, personal emails, it's been unbelievable. The stories of people, and the really heartwarming stories about kind of, loved ones who passed away, people find the dad's brick, the uncle's brick, the nana's brick. And I was genuinely humbled by the whole thing. It was such an amazing response.
So I can imagine that, when you've put so much work into something, that it's just nice to hear people say nice things about it. I mean, we get that with what we do here, people getting in touch just through kindness to say thanks and things like that. It is genuinely heartwarming. But I mean, for anybody who's listening who doesn't quite know what this is, I mean, let's give a brief overview. So when you get to the Stadium of Light, and there are a lot of people, by the way, who listen to our show who they've never been to the Stadium of Light because they're Sunderland fans from all around the world. So, I mean, do you want to just briefly tell people exactly what the commemorative bricks are and where they are and kind of what they represent?
Yeah, so I believe this all started around about 1997, just after the stadium had been built. So there was a scheme where you could basically purchase a brick and put some text on it, and that would basically go into the fabric of the stadium. And the whole stadium, I don't think there's any walls that aren't covered. When you come to the stadium, every single wall you see is just covered in bricks with people's names, dedications, what have you. And they're just everywhere. And I mean, I didn't realize it was 33,000, to be honest. I was kind of, I was a bit blown away by just how many bricks there were. So yeah, people have bought them over the years. And I believe that, so the initial bricks were kind of in recessed panels, which were specifically built for the bricks. And because it was so popular, they've actually put bolt-ons wherever they could find any space. And I don't think you can buy a brick on the walls anymore. And yeah, so there was basically bricks everywhere you look. And because it was probably nearly 30 years ago, obviously people have passed on, people have lost. I didn't know where my brick was, and that's part of the reason I kind of did it as well, because I couldn't find my brick, you know. So yeah, it was just that it is the fabric of the stadium basically, and over the passage of time, people have kind of lost track of things.
Yeah, I did look, actually. I think the last time they had any on sale was December, but it was a very small amount.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
if I remember rightly, they used to sell them in the club shop. You could just walk in and buy one. It was like 25 quid or something,
yeah.
if I remember
Yeah,
rightly.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It was
Yeah.
pretty cheap. Yeah,
Yeah, not so cheap when they did it in December, but still, I mean, even now, with the Legends Way, which they're building over the summer, people have got the opportunity to buy bricks which are going in the ground.
yeah.
So whilst you can't necessarily do this anymore, there is the opportunity for people to do that, and it's kind of, I think it is quite
Absolutely.
unique, isn't it? I don't know if you know much about the history behind it. I mean, I think I might have read that Bob Murray had seen it done abroad somewhere, but I'm not sure.
I don't know. So all I know, so it's definitely the biggest in the UK. There are other
Mm.
clubs who've got something similar, but not on the scale Sunderland has. I believe Norwich might have bricks. Leicester City might have them. But yeah, it's just nowhere near the scale that Sunderland have got them.
Yeah, you touched on it before as well there, the fact that this, or at least the inception of it, was such a long time ago, that now there's people who, have passed on, um, loved ones of fans who still go to games, who've, like you say, have probably either not been aware of the family members having bricks, and
Yeah,
then have went on
yeah,
your website, searched their dad's name or their mum's name or whatever, and
yeah.
found a brick, or people who just lost it. And it's
That's right.
some of the posts I've read online about this project have, I mean, people are it's caused a lot of, like, in a nice way, a lot of upset, because people are like, bloody hell, I
That's right.
thought I'd
Yeah,
lost that
yeah,
forever, and now I found it
yeah,
again. And you know it's amazing, really, that I think that to have been able to change, do something so lovely for people,
yeah.
must give you a lot of pride.
So that's the bit I've been finding hard to get my head around, because it has had such an impact. And I mean, look, at the end of the day, I'm just like, I'm just your normal guy who kind of um, does this for, well, software engineering for a living, and it's my bread and butter. And it's kind of, I wouldn't say it's easy, but to do something that you enjoy doing, and then suddenly to realize that it's touched so many people and just brought joy to their lives. I don't think it's any stretch to say that's what it's done. I do find it hard. It's just, my wife came in on the Sunday. She said, "Have you been crying?" I said, "Because my eyes were red," and it was just the emotional response. I was like welling up every time I read something, and yeah, just I find it really hard to just comprehend it all. Yeah,
So what was the motivation behind this then? So because it is quite niche, I've got to admit. If somebody had went to me, do you fancy, cataloging 33,000 bricks? I'd be like,
yeah.
eh? So there's something must have motivated you to kick this off.
Yeah, so I work in software engineering. I'm a data engineer, and I code in Python. And with those sort of skills, you've got to keep on practicing to just maintain a level and to improve. So I've always been on the lookout for projects, and I do like toy projects that don't have any meaning really. And it's really hard to find a project that's got some meaning. And I think when you do find something that's got meaning, it motivates you to improve. And yeah, I was looking for a project, and I'd been thinking about it for a while, and I didn't I didn't do it because of the skill. It was the logistics behind. Yeah, well, I thought at the time there was probably around about 20,000 bricks, and I thought the scale of that, like trying to catalog each brick, read it, write it out, it was just too much, and
Probably
I
why
just left.
nobody's done it before as well, really.
Well, my wife said that. She said, "Surely somebody must have done this." I said, "No, it's difficult to do. It's the fact of transcribing the bricks." She said, "Well, the club must have a database or something like that." I said, "To be honest, at best, they might have a spreadsheet from years ago that's possibly been lost.
Mhm.
I'd be surprised if they have got a database. It's probably just a load of slips of paper stashed away." Because if you think about it, it was 1997. The internet probably was in its infancy, really, in terms of popularity. Databases were like Access and stuff like that. There wasn't anything sort of big scale, and people didn't know how to use them, so it probably was a spreadsheet at best. I think even if the club had had it, they probably wouldn't have given us the data. So yeah, it was a non-starter, and then yeah, AI's been the big thing that helped. That was the game changer, basically.
It's taken over AI, isn't it? But it's nice to see it being used for a force for good. Like, so, I mean, just
Yeah.
give it. There's going to be a lot of non-techie people listening to this. So, obviously, in the most simple terms, how do you use AI to capture data on 33,000 bricks?
So I've been using. I'm a bit of an early adopter when it comes to technology, and I started using ChatGPT probably about over 3 years ago. Before people really knew that what AI was. So I've been into it for a long time, and I knew it could read images quite well. It could describe images quite well, and you can do a thing where you can write programs to recognize characters on screen. But I just thought, well, with the bricks, that's gonna be really hard to do because the quality of some of the bricks aren't that good. Some are really good.
Mhm.
It's like reading a piece of paper, but some aren't so great. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to give this a go and just see if it's reached the level where it's going to be able to read these bricks. And had a picture of the panel. Me and my wife have got a brick um, from when we got married because my wife was a steward at the stadium. That's how I met her. She was a steward in the stand, and so we
Sweet talk
got
when
a.
you should have been watching the match.
Exactly. And yeah, we got a brick. So I had a picture of the panel. And I just started experimenting with that. And I had some mixed results to start with because the image quality wasn't that great. And I just thought, you know what, I'm going to get over this stadium and take some pictures with my phone. So, iPhone started taking, because the iPhones take some great pictures now. Took a few pictures, started experimenting, and before long, it was just like, oh, do you know what? It's reading these really well. I'm getting some really good output. The accuracy it started to become pretty good. And that's when I just thought, yeah, I'm onto something here. It's going to be something I can utilize. And because I'd worked it out, how long it would take to do by hand. That was a non-starter. I thought, could I crowdsource it? Again, that was just going to take sort of too much time. And yeah, the AI was just able to, I cropped the images down to a reasonable size, and it was just able to read each brick, and even the overlapping ones, it could decide which ones were overlaps, which ones weren't, and I ended up getting really good data from it, and I basically had a workflow going where I would just put the images in, and it would create the file with all the data in, and I could put that into a database. So yeah, it was just the AI just reading the images, basically. That was it.
So, if you can imagine if you'd done this by hand, it would take probably years, wouldn't it?
Yes. Oh yeah,
Years and
definitely.
years and
Yeah,
years
yeah,
and years.
yeah, yeah.
And I mean, you'd probably get it down to a fine art. It'd be pretty accurate, but you'd be demented by the end of it. I
Oh
mean,
yeah, yeah.
how long did it take to do it all in total from start to finish?
So so it took us 5 weeks to catalog all the
That
bricks,
is
and
that is
that
crazy.
was
I mean, I know that's still
yeah,
a long time, but
it
that is
is.
crazy the simplification that,
Oh
utilizing
yeah.
technology has provided.
Well, that's it. And I spent every single minute, like every spare minute I had was spent cataloging the bricks because I just got obsessed by it. It was like once I had the website, because I got the website sorted, and it was just a case of getting the data, and I saw kind of, it looked good and very usable, and the fact you would just put it put your details in and pop an image up of the brick. I just thought, oh God, I've got to get this done. So I was just obsessed. My wife was going mad because I was just like waking up on the morning, 6 o'clock, and that was the first thing I was doing, and then the last thing at night, So yeah, it was. I was surprised by 5 weeks. I thought it was going to take a lot longer than that, to be honest.
And I mentioned the feedback you've had from other fans, but have you had any feedback from the club at all on this? Have they been in touch or anything
I
like that?
saw, yeah, so the chief fan liaison officer, Chris Waters,
Yeah.
he's been in touch and he said he's going to ring us this week to have a chat about things. I don't know what he's going to chat about. But I've also been invited over on Thursday by the marketing director. I don't know what's going to happen there. It's all a bit sort of cloak and dagger, so I just don't know. But I'm definitely going over, and something's going to happen. But I don't know at the minute. I honestly don't know.
Take a blank checkbook. That would be my advice. Yeah.
It's quite exciting, I'm sort of slightly nervous.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not gonna, they love it. They've actually said they're blown away by it. So I'm not worried that they're going to tell us to pack it in. I think they wouldn't be able to get away with it, to be honest with you.
No. Well, it's because it's so unique, and it's
Yeah,
it's something which has obviously took a lot of effort on your part, but probably you mentioned ChatGPT. You probably couldn't have done this 3 or 4 years ago without the
no,
assistance
definitely
of
not.
technology. And it's
No,
just
definitely not.
it's I mean, genuinely, when you think about this is history now. Like I was trying to think before I joined the call to chat with you. What else is there out there that's a bit like this? Like kind of, even not specifically on this kind of topic, but what other websites are out there which are which dip into the club history like this? There's like the StatCat, which I don't know if you use that, but that is such a massive, valuable resource
Yeah,
of information. It's got, you're talking about chronicling of games that every single match the club's ever played is on
yeah,
that website. There's not a great deal out there in terms of the history of the football club. And like this is something which will live in history, providing,
yeah,
your domain name carries on forever, of course. But you know what I mean? You've created history with this. Like
yeah,
something which you're talking about, like people who've lost loved ones, for instance, and have found bricks that maybe passed on 20, 30 years ago. But in 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, yada, yada, yada years, people will be able to
that's right.
still
Yeah.
look back on this and say, search the family name and find it's a really, really important thing what you've done, really.
Well, I mean, I did think that afterwards, because it was a basically community project. I'm really interested in the history of Sunderland, and like me family tree. I mean, my family's got its roots going back, generations in Sunderland from when before the club first started, and I've got generations of family who were Sunderland fans, who were long gone, and you're right. It is a historical part of Sunderland, and people tend to forget that each brick is a person, more or less, and that person's got a story, or they did have a story, and that's why. So I've got a page on the site where you can leave stories about the brick and memorials, just to add that extra dimension, so people can basically leave stories. I mean, there aren't a great deal on there now, and I'd encourage people to get on there because I've made it a lot easier to leave stories, and it's no skin off my nose. Just send the story and I'll have a look at it and I'll get it straight on the site. And I just think the more stories we can get, like you said, it's sort of important. It leaves that historical stamp somewhere of like what this was all about, and the people who were at were supporters of the club, and like you say, they'll be long gone and almost forgotten, but they'll not be, because there'll be this kind of historical context of what it was all about.
Yeah. So even if you're listening to this, you've got a brick at the stadium. You've been able to locate it on David's website. Go on there and write about you and your why you're a Sunderland fan. Why you
Yeah,
bought that brick.
definitely. Yeah,
Because it will live in history.
yeah,
Somebody searches your name in 30, 40, 50 years, they're going to
that's right.
see your brick and they're going to see who you were. And I
Well, it's
think I would really encourage people to do that.
yeah, definitely. I mean, it's not even in the future. I know I've had feedback that people are sort of not playing games, but they're on the site searching for people they know to see if there's anybody they know on there,
I did that.
I've heard,
Yeah, I spent
yeah,
a good hour doing that, you know?
yeah, I've heard people doing that, and it's great when you read stories. The stories I'm getting in, I love reading them. This is what makes the whole project worthwhile. The feedback. 'Cause like you say, I mean, it's all, it's a bit of a cliche saying that I did it for the fans, but it was partly for the fans. Because like you say, I do love history, and I love everything about Sunderland, and I love the club. And I think I said it because I was did an interview with the Echo, and I mentioned about what Brian Clough said about the club when he was asked if he would come back to be a manager, and he said the best time he ever spent was at Sunderland Football Club, and that was even out of his managerial experiences. And when he was asked why, he said it was the people. He said the people make the club, the people dictate to the club, and I 100% agree with him on that one. And I think the people have got to be remembered.
Spring just hits different. One day, cold mud. The next, warm sunshine. But the hard-working men and women in Carhartt don't wait for the forecast to get to work. Patching roads, clearing trails, planting crops. Their hands turn this season's uncertainty into possibility. So get out there, spring into action. We've got you covered for whatever the season throws your way. Carhartt, made possible.
Tomorrow morning is knocking. Stock your fridge now. How about a creamy mocha frappuccino drink? Or a sweet vanilla? Smooth caramel maybe? Or a white chocolate mocha? Whichever you choose, delicious coffee awaits. Find Starbucks Frappuccino drinks wherever you buy your groceries.
The stories you've had then, I mean, I don't want you don't have to go on any sort of names or anything, but what's the ones that stand out from people who've been in touch about the bricks?
So the one that stands out straight away was there was somebody on Reddit ago said the mate that died probably about 30 years ago, and I don't know whether they knew he had a brick or they didn't know. Anyway, they searched for his name and they found his brick. And what they didn't realise was they'd been walking past it every game because it was the turnstile where they went in, and they were saying, "Oh, we're going to touch it now." Every time we go in for a bit of luck. And there was another one where I think the dad had died and the mum had dementia, and he was kind of the last link in terms of knowing where the brick was. Didn't have the paperwork. They lost all hope, and the guy went round the stadium with his kids for the past 15 years, and it was a game of buying granddad's brick, and they never did. And obviously, put the site together and they found it straight away, So, yeah, those are the ones that blew us away. I just thought they're brilliant stories, and there'll be a lot more like that as well. So, like you say, I encourage people to share it because people want to hear these stories,
Yeah. So definitely do that. Anybody listening, if you've got a brick, make sure you leave your story on David's website because it's important. And I think that's the thing about the football club, isn't it? We've all got our own story. We all, I've got my story about why I'm a Sunderland fan. You'll have yours. I mean, where does your association with the club come from?
Well, so I started watching Sunderland in 1979. But before that, I was brought up on the 73 Cup final. I remember my mum's plonking us in front of the telly to watch. I was 6 at the time, and I actually remember watching the game because my dad, my granddad, my uncle were there, and my dad was actually friends with Bobby Kerr, and I remember being in Bobby Kerr's back garden when I was a kid. While my dad was having a drink with him, and so it was just deep rooted in the family. Really, my granddad used to tell us stories about Len Charlton. When I was a kid, and when you hear stories like that, it just it just sticks with you. And yeah, my first game was against Charlton in 1979. We just signed John Hawley, and he scored a hat trick, and it was like, oh, this is amazing. And then the next season went to see Sunderland play Southampton because Kevin Keegan was playing for them, and Roker Park was packed. We got beat 2-1, and I remember Charlie George scored for Southampton. And then my first away game was against Liverpool, and we beat them 1-0. That was the last time we beat them at Anfield, Gary Rowell penalty. So it was just, I was hooked. And it was a case of, used to go home and away, the 85-0 Cup final, 92 FA Cup final, all the playoffs, been to Wembley 7 times, never seen us win. So I know the heartache And yeah, I had a season ticket for a lot of years, and it's in the blood, and you never get rid of it. I mean, I don't go now, I packed in when Steve Bruce was in charge because I just got disillusioned with it. It wasn't a great time for me, and just kind of didn't lose the passion for Sunderland, but just all the money coming into the game, it spoiled it a little bit for us, because I was an 80s sort of football supporter, and I loved the blood and thunder football of the 80s. The Graham Souness's, I remember when he crippled Sean Elliott at Roker Park. It was bad for Sean Elliott, but I just loved that sort of football, So yeah, that's my story.
We've brought it back a little bit recently, haven't we, with some of the football? It feels like we've gone back a few years with football these days. It's become more about the physicality and getting stuck in and all that. I mean, you talk about big tackles. I don't think there's many bigger tacklers than Trey Hume in the game at the minute, and crippling people at Wembley. I mean, that tackle on Burton Diaz, it was a proper throwback, wasn't it? But
brilliant. Yeah, I love that sort of thing.
I even just the big Brobby up front as well, chucking people about. I love it.
I love that. I absolutely love it. I cannot watch England, all this tippy-tappy nonsense. It just,
to be honest, I'm the same. Nah,
drives me
England.
Absolutely crazy. Can I watch it? Man City, can I watch them? It's just, I know they're good, but it's just boring. But for me personally,
I'm with you. I'm totally with you.
It's boring football. I loved it. My best time at watching Sunderland was when Peter Reid was in charge. Johnson Summerby on the wing, Mickey Gray, overlapping, getting the ball into Quinn and Phillips. Just, I loved it. That was amazing football. Absolutely brilliant. And I'd go back if that was the sort of football, I'd go back and watch, definitely.
I think we're probably, what we're watching now is the closest to that it's been in a long time.
Yeah.
It's this, we sit on this podcast and we whinge about VAR and we whinge about refereeing and we whinge about diving, and they are just things now which you've had to accept begrudgingly if you're a fan of football. And they're just, but you talk about the old days and kind of grassroots and it feeling real and feeling very Sunderland. I'm not supposed to bring it back to your project, that's what this is to me, because it's grassroots. It's about fans. It's about local history. It's about culture. There might be people listening to this who are like, "Why are you banging on about a load of bricks?" But it's really important because the stories you've mentioned already about the fellas whose mate died, and that's significant to somebody.
It is.
And
it is.
This 33, according to your website, I don't know if these figures are right, because I did read the Sunderland Echo article and the numbers were slightly different, so I wonder, has some more been uncovered since you did that, or what? But it does say 33,820.
Yeah, I think it's because I discovered the floor bricks in the North Stand, because I didn't
know they existed.
I've walked across them so many times. Taking the photographs, and there was a few people got in touch and said, "Have you done the North Stand floor bricks?" I knew they existed from when the stadium was first built, but I thought they'd been removed because of the North Stand extension. But it turns out that they're actually there.
That's a dark covered over bit, isn't it?
Yeah. So I went back and got those as well. So they're on the site as well. And there's one panel missing, and that's panel S5. And I've put an appeal out yesterday to try and find if people have got images of that panel, because it got removed for the Louise Wanless Media Centre, and they haven't been reinstated yet. And the club said they were going to reinstate them last summer, and they haven't. So I don't know what's going on there. I think they must be going to relocate them, but at the minute they're missing, and there's probably well over 100 bricks that are missing. I've had a lot of people contact us, asking about it, because they haven't had a great response from the club. So yeah, I just want to try and get a full picture of. I've got a picture of the main panel, but there's another panel that I haven't got a picture of. So if anybody's got a picture of panel S5 as it was in its original position, send it into the website. So I'd love to get them on the website as a placeholder, ready for when they get relocated. So yeah, but I know I've got every brick. this is going to sound really nerdy and boring, but I've basically counted every brick on every panel, and I know I've got every brick. So,
will you be capturing the Legends Way bricks as well?
Yes, 100%, definitely. Yeah.
So you've got that. You've got the did you say, was it S15 or S5? Sorry,
S5.
S5 panel
S5.
still to catalog. Yeah. You've got a meeting with the club coming up. I mean, well, how do you want to grow this going forward? Is there any more legs in it? Is there more you want to do, like to make it more interactive, more special, other than the stories we can attach to each brick? Like, so you must have some ideas, or you might have had feedback from people who've said, "Oh, have you thought about doing this? Or you thought about doing that?"
Yeah, I've had suggestions. I mean, people have been saying, kind of, you should monetize it, and I'm like, nah, there's no way. I'm not doing that. It's gonna be free. I'm not gonna, monetize it in any way, shape, or form. And to be honest, I think I've got ideas about maybe doing a brick of the week, or because there's some funny bricks as well. When you're scanning all the bricks, you see some funny ones and some interesting ones and stuff like that. So yeah, maybe try and promote the stories and the memories, or just even the stories about finding the bricks. What was your personal story about finding the brick? I just think I want to get as much content as I can from people, because it's a people thing, and yeah, just things like that, like just featuring people's bricks that are funny or famous people's bricks, or stuff like that. So, I'm open to suggestions. If people have got suggestions, then just send them in. One thing I will say as well, which is I only found out, I think it was on Saturday, I just realised my brick is in panel 7, row 3, so it's 73. So I was like, oh my word.
So it was meant to be.
Well, that was it. I put it into ChatGPT, and it said the universe approves. So I just thought that was quite good.
I'm just off the top, and this is probably maybe something you couldn't undertake, but I'm thinking now, like a kind of like a virtual tour, like a Google Maps style walk around the ground, where you can kind of zoom in on panels virtually rather than just opening pictures. That would be cool.
I did think about that, because I did do a video. I walked around the stadium with my video camera because I wanted to make sure I'd captured every single part of the stadium, and I had all the turnstiles, so I kind of described the location. But yeah, you're right. I thought about that. There must be software out there where, because I've seen it, I've seen it on Google Maps and things like that.
Like estate agents when they do virtual tours of houses.
That's right. Aye, so I think that's a good idea, and definitely something I can look into. Time permitted, of course, because trying to put a bit of my life at the minute.
I noticed in the in the piece you did with the Echo, you mentioned about there's going to be a collaboration with the Heaven Branch coming up. I mean, people don't know the Heaven Branch are brilliant. Joanne Youngson runs that, and it's a massive help to those dealing with grief, who want to remember loved ones. So this all kind of ties in, doesn't it? And I noticed that you've got a drop-in session coming up with them.
That's right. So Joanne was brilliant. She got in touch like very early on, and kind of, I think she partly helped to kind of get it out there. Obviously, she's married to Nick Barnes, so it's quite possibly the reason he kind of spoke about it on the radio. And yeah, she runs the Heaven Branch, which I must admit I didn't know about. It's a fantastic resource for people who have been bereaved, Sunderland fans who have been bereaved. So yeah, if you kind of, again, if you need some help, check that out. And basically, she runs sort of, I think, counselling sessions at a place on Bridge Street, and people can drop in, and because there are people who aren't tech savvy, who probably don't know what they're doing with the internet, and or might be a bit shy, or don't know what to write about the brick. So she's arranged for people to drop in, and I'm gonna go down as well and lend some support and give people a hand. So yeah, I'm open to any suggestions like that if it's going to help people sort of tell the stories. And
that's at Betsy Jenny Cafe on Bridge Street.
It is.
I believe.
That's right. Yeah, that's
between 11 and 2 on Thursday the 30th of May. So if anybody wants to come along.
Is it Saturday the 30th, I think?
I might be wrong. Let me just double check. You're right. So there we go. Don't go on a Thursday, people. Go on a Saturday. Saturday, 30th of May, 11 till 2 at Betsy Jenny Cafe on Bread Street. So
that's the one.
You can drop even just to meet you and pick your brains. And if anybody's been massively moved by this, they might want to thank you for it in person. I don't know, but get yourselves along if that's something that tickles your fancy. David, it's been an absolute pleasure, mate. Thank you so much for your time on this. And honestly, it's brilliant. I mean, I spent a good hour or two just searching names of family members. I found bricks for family members who had lost them. Same as many stories you've heard. Had lost the bricks, hadn't seen them for years, didn't know where they were. I've been able to put people in touch with the website so they can search these things themselves. It is genuinely amazing what you've done. So thank you very, very much for it all. And good luck with whatever happens in the future. I think, honestly, this is the sort of thing that the club should take notice of. Yeah. It's something they should be featuring and spotlighting. And, let's hope it grows legs and gets bigger and better. And, really, really well done with it, mate.
All right, cheers. Well, thank you very much. And thanks for having us on. Really enjoyed it.
Brilliant, mate. And thanks to the listeners. We're back tomorrow with another episode. So make sure you tune in to Howie the Podcast tomorrow. Got lots coming up as we build up to the Wolves game, and over on rotorreport.sbnation.com you can find all your fan-written content. That just leaves us to say thank you very much. We'll see you next time.
Hey, Mama. Thanks for making all my favorite recipes.
Hi, Ma. Thanks for your unfiltered advice.
Hi, Mom. Thanks for always being by the phone.
Hey, Mom. Happy Mother's Day.
When you ship UPS Air at the UPS Store, your items arrive on time or your money back. Guaranteed at no extra cost. Exclusively at the UPS Store U.S. retail locations. Visit the upsstore.com/airshipping for full details. Terms and conditions apply. Send your Mother's Day gifts at the UPS Store and we'll get your gratitude there on time.